How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Samach Aleph, Daf 161 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, where are we? Okay, Seder. Givaldig. We're going weiter in Perek Get Poshit. It's the second daf of Perek Get Poshit, the last daf of BavaBasra, and the culmination in some of her the final Perek of Masechta Nezikin. And okay, so we're going to talk about shtaris today, a get poshit versus a get mekusher. Of course, when we say get, we're not talking about a divorce document, we're talking about any kind of a document. And here we go, friends. Here we go. We have some work to do on Daf Kuf Samich Amud Beis. So I'd say about 15-20 lines or so from the bottom of Kuf Samich Amud Beis. It says Heichon Eidim Chosmin. Okay, you got it? Where do the witnesses sign? So for parts of this daf, it's probably kedai to have some kind of diagram, like an art scroll or something. But I think for that you probably only need it like later. Let me see. Are there diagrams here? Yeah, for this part you don't necessarily need diagrams yet. A little bit later you're gonna. Okay. Anyways, but okay. Eichon Eidim Chosmin. So on a shtar mekusher. Okay, on a document, shtar mekusher, as defined by the Rashbam, as explained by the Rashbam, is betzim the torif of the document. Of course, there are two parts of a document: the torif and the tofis. The torif is kind of the dynamic things, like the date, the names, things like that. 1 second, let me just confirm something. Okay, great. Okay. And then the tofis is like kind of more the template things. Now, so if you look at like a ksuba, for example, ksuba is like a standard text, right? A marriage document. It's like a standard text, right? You can print it out. You can print it out off the internet. There's just a few things that you gotta fill in. There's like a few dynamic pieces. So the dynamic pieces would be the torif, and kind of the template parts would be the tofis. So the torif at the top of the document, so you would write one line, leave a line blank. Write one line, leave a line blank, and you would basically fold over the written line over the blank line, and do that for the torif. Okay. That's a get mekush. Okay. So on a get mekush, eichon edim chosmin. Where do the witnesses sign? Rav Huna Amar bein kesher lekesher. So Rav Huna says that the witnesses sign between each fold, right? There's these folds at the top, and the witnesses sign, I guess, on the blank lines. I don't know, on the fold. And Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says on the opposite side of the document, on the back side of the document. We're gonna have to explain what this means. So for now, let's say what it means is basically at the bottom of the document. So let's say you look at the front of the document, see where the text ends, flip over the document, go to where the text ends, and that's where you're going to sign on the back of the document. Okay. Let's read that again. Where do the witnesses sign on a get mekusher? Rav Huna Amar bein kesher lekesher. Rav Huna says between each fold. Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar achori aksav uchneged aksav mibachutz. Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says you flip over the document to its backside, and you go down to where the text ends on the front side, and you would sign there at the bottom, opposite where the text ends on the front side. Amar le Rami bar Chama, Rav Chizda says Rami bar Chama, who was Rav Chizda's son-in-law to Rav Chizda, li Rav Huna, according to Rav Huna, Damar ben kesher lekesher, who says that you sign between each fold. So says Rami bar Chama, I'm assuming, meaning not me, really, me, Rami bar Chama, I'm assuming that what it means is that Rav Huna is saying that on a get mekusher, the witnesses sign between each fold on the front side of the document. I guess in the blank space between each line. But I have a question on that, says Rami bar Chama. How mekusher, that there was a get mekusher that once came before Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, v'Omer Rebbe, and says Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, ein zman bozeh. Hey, there's no time there's no date written on this document, because of course the date was part of the folded over part. And Rebbe says there's no date on this document. Reb Shimon Rebbe, so his son Reb Shimon says to him, Le Rebbe, to Reb Yehuda Nasi, Shema ben Ksharev Muvla. Well, maybe there is a date, it's just folded over at the top of the document. Palye v'chazye, sure enough, Rebbe opened up the document and there was the date. Right? He unfolded it and there was the date. Ve'emisa. Now here's Rabbi Bar Chama's kasha. If, according to Rav Huna, the witnesses are between the folds at the top of the document on the front of the document, well, ein zman boze ve'ein edim boze mi ba'ilei. Well, Rebbe should not have only said, hey, I don't see the date. He should have also said, I don't see any witnesses, because if what Rav Huna is saying is correct, the witnesses would have been folded up over there as well. So therefore, Rabbi Bar Chama's question is, I don't understand, right? If Rav Huna is correct, that the witnesses are there at the top folded over, then why was Rebbe only asking about the date? He should have also said, hey, where are the witnesses? So Omar Lei, so Rav Chizda responds to Rabbi Bar Chama, Misavart ben kesher lekesher migavoy. 1 second. You think that it's talking about between the folds on the front of the document? Lo, nit, ben kesher lekesher me'avroy. No, it's between the folds, but on the opposite side of the document. And therefore, since it's on the opposite side of the document, between the folds, apparently you'd be able to kind of see it in between the folds. I guess it would be more visible if it's on the outside, apparently. Okay, fine. Well, I guess if it's on the front side, it was dafka, I guess, folded over, whereas if it's on the back side, I guess it could be in between the folds. Okay. So therefore, so Rav Huna says that it's between the folds, but on the back side, and therefore Rebbe was able to see it, but he was unable to see the date because the date was on the front side, between the folds. Fine. V'neichush dilma ziyef v'kosav ma'adeboy v'achzime edim. You hear the kasha? The kasha is, according to Rav Huna, the signatures are at the top of the document, right? There's the torif and there's the tofes, right? The torif is the dynamic stuff at the top of the document. That's the part that's folded over. And then under that would be all the content of the document. Now, Rav Huna is saying that the signatures are up at the top of the document in the folded up area. And now all the content is below that area. Well then, what's preventing, right? Let's say there's a loan document that says that Reuven borrowed $1,000 from Shimon, and therefore Shimon has a document saying he collected $1,000 from Reuven. If the witnesses are signed at the top of the document, what is preventing Shimon, who's got this document in his house right now, from adding stuff to the bottom of the text? Right, and also Reuven needs to buy me a house. He has to pay me $1,000, and also he agreed that he's going to give me a house as a gift, which will probably be an issue of interest. So maybe that's not a good idea. But maybe he'll say, Reuven needs to pay me back $1,000, and also he I don't know, is mishabed a certain property or something. I don't know. He also told me some other thing. Maybe some kind of a collateral or something. He basically added more favorable clauses at the bottom of the document. So what's preventing Shimon from adding more favorable clauses to the bottom of the document, right? If the witness is signed at the bottom of the document, okay, so I get it. Wherever the text of the document ends, you have the witness's sign beneath that, and right after the text ends, you have the witnesses. Therefore, there's no room to sneak in any more lines, and anything that you would write below the witnesses would be obvious that it was added later, and therefore we can't trust it. So I understand if you say that the witnesses are signed at the bottom, but if the witnesses are signed at the top, like Rav Huna is saying, between the folds at the top, what is preventing Shimon from adding favorable clauses after the fact? And and now he's got a document with witnesses on it that says that he also has these favorable clauses. So dichsiv beishar v'kayim. Well, at the bottom of the document it says shar v'kayim. But if you look at a ksuba, right, at the very end of the text of the ksuba, it says hakol shar v'kayim, and then you have the witnesses, the Eidei Ksuba sign the Ksuba. So So therefore, says Rav Huna, the document at the end of the text, it says Akol Shar V'Kayim, that everything is fixed and good. Okay, it means, and this document is finished. And therefore, even though the witnesses are at the top of the document, no more text can be added to it, since it says Akol Shar V'Kayim, this document is finished, and therefore anything added after that would be obviously added after the fact. V'neichush dilma kosav my deboy, v'other kosav shar v'kayim achrino. Yeah, but maybe he'll add favorable clauses and then write shar v'kayim nochamo. So it'll say shar v'kayim, then it'll add more favorable stuff, and then it'll write shar v'kayim again. Chad shar v'kayim kosvino, trei shar v'kayim lo kosvino. Well, there's only one shar v'kayim in a document, not two. So once there's shar v'kayim, that's it. If he adds anything else, even if he writes shar v'kayim after that, it's too late. You can't have two shar v'kayims. V'leichush dilma mochik le l'shar v'kayim v'chosav my deboy v'other kosav shar v'kayim. Oh, but maybe he will erase the word shar v'kayim, write his favorable clauses, and at the end of the favorable clauses, write shar v'kayim. And then, so it's only going to say shar v'kayim once on the document, after his favorable clauses that he added. And the witnesses are already signed at the top of the document. Now he's got a document with witnesses on it that says whatever he wants it to say. Now the thing is, when you erase something, it's noticeable that something's been erased, right? Of course, take a piece of paper, write some pencil, take an eraser, erase it. You can tell that something's been erased. Okay? So now it would be noticeable that, right, that there's been some erasures here. Now here's the thing though. Ha'omer Reb Yochanan, that would not be a possibility to erase shar v'kayim, write whatever you want, and then write shar v'kayim again, because, says Reb Yochanan, tluya mikuyemis kshera mochak posel v'afal pi shemikuyim. Interesting. So let's say the scribe is writing a document, okay? And he realizes, wait a second, I made a mistake. I need to add some words. Now, this was not on a computer. This was handwritten stuff. Ink on parchment. So what do? He needs to add some words. So what do? Okay, no big deal. You add in the words, right? You squeeze them in, you add them in. And then, at the end of the document, before the witnesses sign, the sofer just writes like a little note there. Look, you'll notice that there are a few words that are squeezed in this particular location. Not to worry. I wrote those. Don't worry about it. All good. And then the witnesses sign. Now, if there's other words added in, and the sofer didn't write that those are acceptable, so then they're unacceptable, right? So it's okay for the sofer to add words as long as he, acknowledges them at the end, and then the witnesses sign, and then all good. No problem. It's kind of worked into the shtar that those extra words are acceptable. Fine. However, that would not work for erasing. You would be unable to erase words and then rewrite them, and then at the bottom write a note, don't worry about it, I erased them and fixed them. Let's go right to the Gemara for a second. And that's specifically with the word shar v'kayim. Kilu, if at the end of the document, right, and as Rashbam points out, that it could have said, Kigon basar b'mana de kosher mekanya, right? Because as we're going to learn, I think probably tomorrow, that we don't learn anything from the last line of a shtar, of a document. The last line of a document, there's nothing new there, right? You just talk about, that he made a kinyan, he accepted a kinyan, b'mana de kosher mekanya. If you look at a ksuba, if you look at a marriage contract, just look at the end of the document, you'll see all the stuff, right? You'll see, I don't have a ksuba in front of me right now, but like something, what was it? Something like he was maknet to her, b'mana de kosher mekanya be, akol shar v'kayim. So like you have this Indian about like the last line being, right, this mana de mekanya be, and then you have hakol shar v'kayim, it's all there. So now, what were we saying? So if at the end of the document, right, so for example, after it says b'mana de kosher mekanya be, and then you see that like there's some stuff erased, so that would be unacceptable because we have to be concerned that maybe he erased Hakol Shar V'Kayim, added favorable conditions, wrote Shar V'Kayim again. So that would be problematic. Okay. So what was our question? So our question was that according to Rav Huna, if the witnesses are at the top, don't we have to be concerned that Shimon is just going to add some favorable clauses at the end? And so then the question was, right, so we said, because it says I call Shar V'Kayim. So then aren't we concerned though that he's going to erase Shar V'Kayim, add those favorable things, then write Shar V'Kayim again? So we say, no, we're not concerned because Rabbi Yochanan says that, we'll notice that it's erased, right? That's not a question. We'll see that it's erased. And we'll see that the word, that it was in the place where Shar V'Kayim would have belonged. It was at the end of the document, not just like a word or two in the middle of the document. It was at the end of the document. All of a sudden we see that things are erased and like stuff is added. So that would be unacceptable. So we're not concerned about that, either. Okay. So that was sort of an exploration of Rav Huna. Now we move on to Reb Yirmiyah bar Abba. Now for Reb Yirmiyah bar Abba, it'll be kedai. I'm actually going to look at some diagrams while I am explaining this. If you have an art scroll or some kind of thing with diagrams, it'll be helpful to just have those on standby. Okay, so now with Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, so according to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, right? So Rami bar Chama continues asking his father-in-law Rav Chizda. I don't know if he was necessarily his father-in-law yet, but okay, Rav Chizda. So Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, the Amar who says Achori Aksav, that the signatures are on the backside of the document. Uchneged Aksav mi bachutz, and basically, so you look at the front of the document. You see where all of the text ends. You then flip over the document, and so I'll just use the names that are here in the diagram of the art scroll. So then on the bottom line, right, on the back of the document, where the bottom line of the text on the front of the document is, so you would write there Chaim ben Menachem 8, okay, and then the line above that you would write Shmuel ben Tzvi 8, and the line above that you'd write Reuven ben Yaakov 8. Okay, fine. So basically where the witnesses end is where the text ends. And therefore, you won't be able to, if you add any text later on, you're going to see that the new text ends later than where the witnesses signed. So you'll be able to see that the document was tampered with and that new text was added after the fact because it ends further down than where the witnesses signed. So now, Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, I'm reading that again. According to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, the Amar who says, Achori Aksav, that the witness is signed on the back of the document, uchneged aksav mi bachutz, and be'etzem they sign opposite where the text ends. Leichush dilmo ksiv mi gavoy ma'ideboy, but shouldn't we be concerned, however, that actually Shimon is going to add favorable clauses to the end of the document? Okay, but won't we be able to tell that they're added because it goes further down than the witnesses? Well, not necessarily, because umachtim saidi yiseir me'avroi, and then he's going to add extra witnesses. V'omer, and he says, "Anu l'rabbos be'edim uda'avdi." Look, I just have extra witnesses. That's fine. There's no big deal. Instead of 3 witnesses, I'll have 5 witnesses, 10 witnesses, whatever it is. So basically, he has 3. Right. So basically, he had Shimon has a document saying that Reuven owes him $1,000. Okay. And the text of the document ended. And there are kosher witnesses who signed on the back of the get mekosher. Basically, they signed their signatures where the text ends. Now, we said that is kosher. However, we should be concerned that Shimon is going to add now some favorable clauses and then flip over the document and just add some names. He could probably just add random names to the back, whatever. And when it comes to Mekayim the Shtar, he'll be Mekayim with the original 3 witnesses. Right? They're kosher Eidim. All the extra Eidim that he added were just made up names, potentially, that he added to the back of the document. And when asked about them, he says, well, I have all these extra witnesses. I just have a lot of witnesses, no problem. So shouldn't we be concerned about that? So Amar Le, so Rav Chizda responds to Rami Bar Chama, Misovar et Eidim Kisidron Chasime, Eidim Mimato L'mayla Chasime. Well, says Rav Chizda, the thing is, the witnesses don't sign like you are assuming. They do not write. I had explained, because that's what we were assuming up until now, that the way that the witnesses are signing on the back of the document is, well, you find where the text ends on the front, and on the last line of text, you write on the back of it, Chaim ben Menachem Eid. On the second to last line of the text, on the back of it, you write Shmuel ben Tzvi Eid. And on the third to last line, on the back of the document, you write Reuven ben Yaakov Eid. And we asked though, but what if Shimon's going to add favorable clauses beneath that and then just add fake witnesses to fill up those lines? So Rav Chizda says, well, the thing is that the witnesses on the back of the document are not like that. They're not, the text on the front of the document is right to left, right? You write the lines right to left. The witnesses on the back of the document, we were assuming up until now, are also right to left. However, that's not true. It's perpendicular to the text. It's from bottom to top. It's from bottom to top. It's from bottom to top. And another important nikuda, because there's going to be a lot of back and forth right now, and this is why it's helpful, partially why it's helpful, one reason why it's helpful to have a diagram here, is because, another thing about it is that, so the witnesses are signed perpendicular, which means what you'll have is, basically, the text of the document ends, you flip over the document, and you find where the text on the front ends, so you go to where the text on the front ends, you go to the same location on the back, and then you start writing Reuven ben Yaakov from the bottom to the top. So where the resh of Reuven starts is where the text ends, right? And if you add more text, then it's going to be beneath the word Reuven. It's going to be further down than Reuven. And even if you add more witnesses, well, you're going to just lower them down. Like why are they lower down than Reuven? So that solves for that, right? So you won't be able to add any text. But now, if you look at the document, if you look at the diagram, you'll see, so Reuven ben Yaakov Eid is signed on the back side of the document, all the way to the right, from bottom to top. And then, Shmuel ben Tzvi Eid and Chaim ben Menachem Eid, the next two witnesses, actually start at the second to bottom line, going front and then going upwards, not at the bottom line going upwards, and that's going to be important. It's going to be important for the rest of for understanding the rest of the daf. Okay, so now, Amarle, so Rav Chizda says to Rami Bar Chama, Misavat Eidim Kisidron Chasimei. 1 second, do you really think that the witnesses are signing right to left at the bottom of the document? On the last three, opposite the last three lines of the document, of text. No. They are signing on the back of the Get Mekusher from bottom to top, perpendicular to the text. And you have Reuven ben Yaakov on the right side of the document. And he starts writing the resh of Reuven, opposite the last line of the front of the text on the front of the document. And then the next two witnesses start also perpendicular, but starting from the second to last line of the document. And therefore you can't add any new clauses beneath Reuven, because you'll see that, right, it will be clear that they were added after the fact. V'leichush Dilma Misramya Reisa Beshita Achrona. But 1 second, shouldn't we be concerned that Shimon will find issue with the last line of text in the document, on the front side of the document? Maybe it says that, Reuven had, it's interesting that we're using Reuven as the borrower, but we also have Reuven ben Yaakov Eid. That's fine. I mean, you can have two people with the same name. Anyways, so Reuven is the borrower, right? So maybe like the last line of text in the document says and Reuven has the option to extend the loan or something like that, or whatever it is. So there's some clause there that Shimon could live without. So shouldn't we be concerned that Shimon is simply going to take a pair of scissors and cut off the last line of text from the document. And by doing so, of course, it will also be cutting off the word Ruvain. So all you have left from there would be Ben Yaakov Eid. Okay. Now remember, the next two witnesses, Shmuel ben Tzvi and Chaim ben Menachem, they only started writing their name from the second to bottom line of text. So their full names will still be there, but since we're trimming off the bottom line of the text because it didn't, Shimon would prefer not to have it, so you just cut off the bottom line. So he's cutting off the name Reuven, but you would still have Ben Yaakov Eid, Shmuel ben Tzvi Eid, and Chaim ben Menachem Eid. So the question is, wouldn't that be so? Shouldn't we be concerned about that, right? Where are we? So, V'leichos, shouldn't we be concerned, Dilma Misram Yereyisa B'shita Achrona, that there will be something unfavorable to Shmuel, to Shimon, on the last line of text on the document. V'gayizle, he'll simply take out a pair of scissors and cut off the bottom line of text, the Shita Achrona, to the bottom line of text on the document. V'gayizle l'Ruvain ba'adei, and of course, Memela, by cutting off the bottom line, you're also cutting off the word Ruvain. But umiskasher ben Yaakov Eid, but it'll still say ben Yaakov Eid, and that's fine. The Tananas we learned in the Mishnah, ben Ish Ploni Eid kosher. If it just says ben Ish Ploni, so ben Yaakov Eid kosher, that's fine. Well, d'chsiv Ruvain ben b'chadar v'Yaakov Eid ilave. Well, actually, the bottom line on the bottom, opposite the bottom line of text, didn't just say Ruvain, it said Ruvain ben. So you'd be cutting off Ruvain ben. But v'leichos dilma gayis le Ruvain ben miskasher b'Yaakov Eid. But that's fine. Okay, so even if he cuts off Ruvain ben, it would still be kosher with simply Yaakov Eid. The Tanan is learned in a Mishnah, in the same Mishnah in Gittin, Ish Ploni Eid kosher, which simply just says Yaakov Eid is kosher. Well, the looks if Eid, but it doesn't say Eid, so therefore it would just say Yaakov, and therefore that would be a problem. So therefore he wouldn't be able to cut off the bottom line. Alternatively, Lolam de Chosav Eid, it could also say Yaakov Eid, but the Adinan ba de Achsimas Yada lav de Yaakovu. However, we know, it's a small town. We know who Yaakov is, and we know that that's not his handwriting. So therefore, we're not concerned that Reuben's going to cut off that thing, because then we wouldn't, because then the get would be, the document would be possible, because we would know that it's not Yaakov's signature. But maybe Reuven simply signed in the name of his father, right? We could be concerned that Reuven signed using the name of his father out of showing honor for his father. He signed his father's name. So maybe we should be concerned that Shimon's going to cut off the bottom line of the document because he doesn't like it, and it'll say Yaakov Eid over there, and we'll say, okay, we don't recognize the signature, but it's because it's Reuven signed his father's name. No, a person is not going to sign his father's name instead of his own. Okay, but maybe we should be concerned that Reuven was just using his father's name as like a unique identifier, as a sign. For example, Rav would sign with a fish, right? He would draw a fish, and everyone knew, okay, that's Rav's signature. Reb Chanina would make some kind of palm frond illustration, and that was his signature. Rav Chizda Samach, Rav Oshaya Ayin. Rav Chizda would just sign the letter Samach. Rav Oshaya would sign the letter Ayin. Rav Bar Huna Makusa, he would sign the mast of a ship. So Kilu, the point is, shouldn't we be concerned that Shimon is going to cut off the bottom of the text because he doesn't like it, and we'll still say that it's a kosher document, because we'll say that Reuven was just signing with the word Yaakov as a sign, equivalent to Rab making a fish. It's a little bit disrespectful for a person to use his father's name as his sign. So therefore we're not concerned that he's going to cut off the bottom line, because if he does, then it will be a puzzle document. Okay. Marzucha says, one second. Why? Just why? why are you getting into this whole complicated thing where you have to worry about trimming off lines? And the whole reason why trimming off lines is a problem is because, as I pointed out, we're assuming that it says Ruvain ben Yaakov, where Ruvain starts on the last line, opposite the last line of the text, and then Shmuel ben Tzvi and Chaim ben Menachem are starting opposite 2 lines from the bottom of the text. What says Mar Zutra? Why are y'all giving yourself such a headache like that? You need on a get mekusha that all of the witnesses are starting their names on the same line. And therefore, if Shimon were to cut off the bottom line of the document, he'd be cutting off the first names of all 3 witnesses, which would immediately be a red flag, and therefore we're not concerned that he's going to do that. Okay, and if he does, then we would immediately have red flags and try to figure out, hey, what happened here? However, that was daf Kuf Samach Aleph of Masechta BavaBasra. Another daf here in Perek Get Poshet. We talked about Be'etzim Get Mekusher and how to sign it. Rav Huna says that you sign it between the folds on the back side. Rav Abba says that you sign it on the back side, but at the bottom, opposite the bottom of the text, perpendicularly. And we saw different sort of questions and things within understanding Rav Huna's opinion and Rav Abba's opinion. Very interesting, kind of technical stuff, but interesting nonetheless. Peace out.